The Monkey and the Cheese. Two cats, a black one and a white one, helped each other to take a large piece of cheese from the kitchen. They carried it out to a quiet corner of the garden to eat. When they reached a nice spot behind some plants, they put down the cheese and looked at it. "What a large piece we were able to get," said Mrs. Black. "It must measure 4 inches across." "4 inches?" replied Miss White. "I believe you are wrong. It's easily 5 inches." Mrs. Black did not like to disagree with one who wasn't even married. She looked straight at the other cat and said firmly, "I am a married cat who has raised 7 families. I am not wrong about the size of a piece of cheese. I say it is 4 inches, and that is all." "5 inches," answered Miss White angrily. "I say it's 5." Mrs. Black was going to shout 4 when Mr. Monkey came through the plants. He lived in the same house as the cats and was quite friendly with them. "Tell me, ladies, what is the matter?" said he. Both cats began to talk at the same time. They explained that they disagreed about the size of the cheese and asked him to decide. Like a judge, Mr. Monkey looked seriously at the cheese. Then he took it into his paws. "It is difficult to say," said he. "For one thing, the piece is such a strange form. If I could bite just a little off this side, now—" He put the cheese to his mouth and took a large bite. Then he held it up in front of the cats. "It is quite a nice form now, and much easier to judge," said he. "What is your present opinion on the matter?" Both cats looked again at the piece of cheese. They were thinking much more now of their disagreement than of the good taste of the cheese. 3½ inches, said Mrs. Black, but Miss White quickly disagreed. 4½ replied the unmarried cat. Mrs. Black has no idea of size. Dear me, said the monkey. We shall have to try again. Once more, he put the cheese to his mouth. This time, he took a much larger bite. He held out the piece that was left for the cats to look at. Well, he said, still very serious. Surely you can agree now. 2 inches, cried Mrs. Black. But before the words were out of her mouth, Miss White shouted, 3! No less than 3! Ah, said Mr. Monkey thoughtfully. Again, he looked at the cheese seriously. Then he took a third bite and once more showed what was left to the cats. 1 inch, cried Mrs. Black, all the hair on her back standing straight up. I know it's only 1 inch. And I know it's 1.5 inches, Miss White cried loudly. She made a meow cat sound that could be heard everywhere in the garden. At that point, Mr. Monkey put the last piece of cheese in his mouth and ate it. "I have tried my best to help you ladies," he said, "but my efforts have been useless. Good afternoon to you both."